My name is Ray Hickey. I work for Mr. Tax of Gulf Breeze Incorporated as a tax preparer and tax consultant. A tax preparer and tax consultant prepares people's income taxes returns for the federal government and consults with them on how to best file their returns and how best to run their businesses so that they will reduce the amount of legal taxes they pay. A typical day during tax season consists of coming into my office, and usually around 9 o'clock I'll take my first client in. They'll bring in all their papers, their W-2s, their 1099s, all of their papers about their business. If they have a small business, they'll bring in me the statements from their small business, and I'll go through them all with them and discuss them with them, and then I will transfer them to the tax return to report to the government what their financial situation has been through the year. And that's really tax preparing. Then in consulting, I will meet with them sometimes outside of tax season to advise them how they should go about buying their assets, accounting for their sales, accounting for their purchases, to maximize their position with the tax return so that they will pay the least legal tax. The other part of the business is that I have to represent them before the IRS if the IRS decides to audit their return or question some particular thing that they've put on their return. Then in that case, I represent them. I go to the IRS either with them or not with them, and I represent them before the IRS and argue their side of it against the IRS, who is trying to make them pay more tax. I work about maybe 50 hours a week during tax season, and less than that, in fact less than 40 in regular times that are not during tax season. The stress level is very high during tax season, but during the off season it's very low. And you can take lots of time off if you want to, go to the beach, whatever you want to do, because the volume of work is not nearly as much as it is between January 15th and April 15th. The requirements to become a tax preparer are considerably different than that to become a tax consultant and a representative of people before IRS. In most of the states, there is no requirement at all to become a tax preparer. Anybody can hang out their shingle and say, I do people's tax returns. And some of them do. You can take a course through one of the big tax companies. They offer a course, you pay them, they teach you how to do tax returns, and then the next season they may employ you to do them. That's one of the ways to become a tax preparer. The other ways are you can go aim higher than that. You can go to school. You can go either to a 4-year degree and get a Bachelor of Science in Accounting, and then therefore you will be able to do tax returns. Or you can do it the other way, which is to get a 2-year degree in accounting and then go out and get a job as a tax preparer and actually get the experience on the job. Now, once you become a tax preparer and get some experience behind you, then you can think about becoming a tax consultant and represent people before the IRS. Now, in order to do that, you have to either become an attorney and pass the bar exam, or you have to have a CPA certificate, which means you have to go through college, either a 4-year program and 2 years of experience with a CPA firm, or a 5-year college program will allow you to take the exam. Then you have to take the Certified Public Accountant exam, and then you become qualified to practice before the IRS. The other way to do it is through experience, to learn enough that you know enough to become what's called an enrolled agent. It sounds as though you're working for the IRS, but actually you're working against them. But you're an agent that they recognize as qualified to prepare for representation of your clients. And they want you to be able to represent your clients properly. So that's the way I did it. I was an unenrolled preparer for 25 or 30 years before I actually took the examination to become an enrolled agent. And now I've been doing that for about 10 years, and it's much more interesting because you get to do a lot of things that you've never done before. The best part of being a tax preparer is that you get to meet a lot of people and have a lot of fun talking to them and getting to know them. After you've been doing their returns for 10 or 15 years, they'd really become friends more than just clients. And you get to know them and you get to know their children. I've been doing it here in Pensacola now for about, oh, I guess almost 35 years. And so I'm now on my third generation of some clients. Some clients that I do now, young people, I started doing their grandfather's returns 35 years ago. So I've gotten to know the whole family, and that's the best part of the job, is getting to know the people, and also to be able to tell someone they're getting a big refund, because everybody gets to love getting a big refund. The hardest part of the job is the other side of that, is when you have to tell someone that you know and you like that they're going to owe a lot of money to the IRS, and you think they don't expect it. The worst case I had of that was a lady whose husband had died and left her an IRA. And she had no idea what she was doing. She took the entire IRA out before she was 59 and a half to pay off her house and build a swimming pool. That was $180,000 she took out. And so just the penalty for taking that out early was $18,000. And when I did her tax return, I had to tell her that she owed them $47,000. And she had no idea it was coming. That was the worst day of my tax life. That is the worst part of the job. Fortunately, it doesn't happen every day. It only happens once in a while. In considering what final advice I would give someone considering being a tax preparer or a tax consultant, it's really easy. If you like people and you like being around people and you have a facility for numbers, you'll do really well as a tax preparer or tax consultant. You need all of those qualities. Everybody just tells you you need the numbers, but the reality is, if you don't like people and you don't like being with people, you don't want to do this for a living, because people are what this thing is all about. And on the other side of the coin, the best way to be successful in this business is to care about the people whose taxes you're doing. Because unfortunately in this business, most of the companies and most of the CPA firms that do it don't have any real feelings about the people they're working with. They're just numbers. You may have experienced it yourself if you've gone and had your taxes done. So it's a rewarding career if you like people and if you like to have a good life, that you're not actually digging ditches or anything. It's a good way to go.